Session 89. Profiles versus permission sets in Salesforce. This session covers what each tool does, why the profile-heavy model creates maintenance problems at scale, and what the modern permission set-first approach looks like. If your org has more than 5 profiles and you're not sure why, this session is for you. A profile in Salesforce is a set of settings and permissions that controls what a user can see and do. Every user must be assigned exactly one profile. No user can have 0. No user can have 2. The profile is the baseline access layer. Profiles control object-level permissions: read, create, edit, delete, view all, modify all; field-level security, visible/editable per field; page layouts, record type assignments, app access, system permissions, and login hours. Profiles were the primary access control mechanism from the early days of Salesforce. The original model: one profile per type of user. Sales profile, service profile, manager profile. Simple when you only have 3 user types. The problem appears when you have slight variations. A sales profile user who also needs read access to cases. Another who needs edit access to a custom object. Another who needs a different page layout. The response in most orgs: clone the profile and modify it. Profile proliferation is the failure mode. One profile becomes 4 because of slight variations. 4 becomes 12 when new products and teams are added. 12 becomes 20 when nobody is cleaning up the old ones. You now have 20 profiles, most of which are 95% identical, and nobody can tell you what makes them different. The maintenance burden is real. When you need to update a permission for a new field, a changed object access rule, a security requirement, you have to update it on every profile. Miss one, and a user either has access they shouldn't or loses access they need. Permission sets were introduced to solve this problem. A permission set is an additive collection of permissions that can be assigned to users independently of their profile. You can assign multiple permission sets to a single user. The model shift: give users a minimal baseline profile, then use permission sets to grant specific additional access. A user's effective permissions are the profile plus all assigned permission sets. What goes on the profile in the modern model: the absolute minimum access needed by that category of user. Usually this means basic read access to standard objects, standard app access, no object-specific special permissions. What goes on permission sets: anything that varies across users. Access to a specific custom object, edit permissions on a particular standard object, API-enabled for integration users, specific system permissions. Permission set groups were introduced to make the permission set model manageable at scale. Instead of assigning 15 individual permission sets to every sales user, you create a permission set group called Sales Standard Access. Include all 15 sets in the group and assign the group one assignment instead of 15. Groups also let you mute specific permissions from a set without removing the set, using a muting permission set within the group. This level of control was not possible with the profile model. Salesforce has announced the eventual deprecation of profiles. The specific timeline has not been confirmed as of 2026, but the direction has been consistent for several years. New access control features are being built for permission sets, not profiles. User access policies, rules that automatically assign permission sets based on attributes like department or role, are a permission set feature. Enhanced profile UI improvements have slowed. The investment is clearly in the permission set model. The migration path from profile-heavy to permission set-first is not an overnight project in a large org. The approach: Step 1. Audit all existing profiles. Document what each one grants that differs from the org's minimum baseline. Step 2. Define the minimum baseline profile, the access every user in the org needs regardless of role. Step 3. Identify the distinct access packages needed above the baseline. These become permission sets. Step 4. Bundle permission sets into permission set groups by user type. Step 5. Migrate users to the new model one user type at a time. Before migrating, use the permission set audit and permission analysis tools in Salesforce to understand what you're currently granting. The Setup Users Permission Set Analysis report shows which users have which permissions and through which mechanism. Running this before you start tells you what you're dealing with. Also useful: the access summary in a user record, which shows all permissions that user has across profile and all assigned permission sets in one view. Object permissions in the context of profiles versus permission sets. The key rule: permission sets can only grant access. They cannot restrict it. If the profile grants read access to an object, A permission set cannot remove it. This is why the baseline profile must be truly minimal. If you grant too much on the profile, you can't take it back via permission set. Field-level security follows the same additive rule. If the profile grants edit access to a field, permission sets cannot revoke it for specific users. Plan your profile baseline carefully. Start with the minimum field access and add via permission sets for users who need more. The permission set group's muting permission set can suppress permissions that are in a permission set within the group, but this doesn't help with profile-level grants. Profile grants must be managed at the profile level. Record types and page layouts are still assigned through profiles. This is one area where profiles retain a unique function that permission sets currently don't fully replace. Users can have different page layouts and record type access in the same profile, but the assignment is still per profile. For orgs with complex record type needs, this means the profile migration to full minimal baseline is harder when record types are involved. Plan for this. System permissions, things like customize application, modify all data, API enabled, can be granted through either profiles or permission sets. In the modern model, these should be on permission sets, not the baseline profile. This gives you precise control over which specific users have elevated system permissions without widening the baseline. API enabled is particularly important. If you grant it on the profile, all users with that profile can authenticate via the API. Grant it on a permission set for only the integration and admin users who need it. Named credentials and connected apps permissions are also moving to the permission set model. If you're building integrations, ensure the integration user has the necessary permissions via permission sets rather than elevated profiles. This reduces the blast radius of a compromised integration credential. User access policies are the next generation of Salesforce access control. They are rules that automatically assign permission sets, permission set groups, and queues to users when certain conditions are met, like a specific value in a custom field, a department assignment, or a role. Instead of manually assigning permission sets when a user's role changes, a user access policy updates their access automatically. This is only available in the permission set model. Testing your permission set migration. When you move a user from an old profile plus no permission sets to a new minimal profile plus permission sets, test by logging in as the user, set up login as, and verifying. Object access as expected. Field visibility as expected. Page layouts correct. Apps visible. Record types available, if applicable. Use the access summary on the user record to confirm the full permission inventory before and after the migration. Common mistakes in permission set migrations. Granting too much on the base profile, to be safe, defeats the purpose. The profile should be minimal. Creating permission sets that replicate the old clone profile structure. You've moved the problem without solving it. Not grouping permission sets. 30 individual permission sets per user is harder to manage than 3 permission set groups. Not auditing before migrating. You won't know what you're removing if you haven't documented what was there. The compliance and audit case for permission sets. When an auditor asks who has access to a sensitive object or field, a permission set model gives you a cleaner answer. Permission sets are named, documented, and auditable. 20 cloned profiles with subtle differences are not. 4 orgs in regulated industries. Financial services, healthcare, any org using Salesforce Shield. The permission set model makes compliance reporting significantly easier. Summary. Profiles are the old model. Every user gets one, and profile proliferation is the failure mode at scale. Permission sets are additive and more granular. Permission set groups bundle sets for easier management. The minimum profile plus layered permission sets model is the direction Salesforce is moving and where new features are being built. Session 90 next, Salesforce reports and dashboards, what every admin must know. Full course at realsyllabus.com.